In 1958, development of the fire shelter began. By 1967, fire shelters were widely available for use. Over the next 30 years, only minor changes were made to the shelter. The old-style shelter has been deployed approximately 1,100 times and is estimated to have saved the lives of 300 firefighters. In 2000, the Missoula Technology and Development Center began development work on a new fire shelter design. The new generation fire shelter was selected by Fire and Aviation Management in 2002. Since the introduction of the new shelter, the center has used a variety of methods to continue to learn about the shelter and improve its design. One method is field testing. In this program, you will see a shelter field test conducted on May 5, 2006 on BLM land east of Missoula, Montana. For this field test, 4 shelters were set up within a prescribed burn in a previously thinned logging unit with moderate slash. This test was designed to measure how each shelter performs in high temperatures with direct flame contact. To ensure these conditions, slash was added to the surrounding area. The site conditions at the time of the test included a temperature of 60 degrees Fahrenheit, relative humidity of 31%. The wind was blowing 0 to 2 miles per hour from the north. The site exposure was west, and the slope was 10%. To document this test, each shelter was equipped with temperature-sensing thermocouples inside and out. Video cameras and fireproof boxes were set up around the area and inside each shelter. Each shelter also contained 1 pair of standard green firefighter pants. Once the shelters were set for the field test, firefighters lit off the burn with drip torches. The 4 shelters shown are, from left to right, 2 experimental shelters, the old style, and the new generation. Each has a loose-fitting metal frame in order for the shelter to keep its shape. As you can see, the fire is starting to come together, even producing a small fire whirl. Within minutes, each shelter is receiving direct flame contact. Unfortunately, the camera with the close-up view of the new generation and old-style shelters malfunctioned. The camera filming the 2 experimental shelters, however, does provide an up-close picture of the extensive flame contact the shelters received. Temperatures outside the shelters, depending on fire intensity, peaked between 1,300 and 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. With a few seconds of flame contact, you can see the old-style shelter starts to delaminate. Now let's take a look at the inside of the old style and new generation shelters. From inside the old style shelter, it is normal to see numerous pinholes. These lines are stitch lines where the thermocouples were attached to the shelter. The flames coming under the shelter are appearing because the metal frame and uneven ground do not allow for a good seal. Some of the smoke in the shelter is from the thermal breakdown of the glue holding the fiberglass cloth to the foil. These gases from the glue have now ignited and the foil is burning away, leaving only the fiberglass cloth. This severely limits the protection offered by the shelter. The breathing zone temperature inside the shelter has peaked at 570 degrees Fahrenheit, which is most likely not survivable. From inside the new generation shelter, it is normal to see stitch lines. Once again, you can see flames come under the shelter due to the metal frame and uneven ground. During the test, the breathing zone temperature inside the shelter peaked at 280 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature that is most likely survivable for a short time. In these conditions, the chance for survival in the new generation shelter is much higher than in the old style shelter. After the test, the shelters were evaluated. The old style shelter is severely delaminated, reducing the amount of protection it offers. As you can see, the fire pants in this shelter are orange and charred black, indicating exposure to high temperatures and flame contact. Fire pants turn orange when exposed to temperatures higher than 470 degrees and become charred at 920 degrees Fahrenheit. On the new generation shelter, you can see some delamination of the outside layer. The inside layer, however, remained intact, offering a better barrier to the fire's heat, thus increasing the protection the shelter offers. The fire pants show no sign of heat damage. This test demonstrates how the old style and the new generation fire shelters can perform. It should not be generalized to all fire conditions. Each fire situation is unique.
You need to know that even the new generation fire shelter cannot offer sufficient protection in every fire situation. Firefighters must never take added risks because they are carrying a shelter. Do everything you can to avoid situations where you need to use a fire shelter.